Good afternoon. My name is Untitled Chapter, and today I'm back again. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the power of spending time alone. I believe it's going to be important for you, and I believe you're going to learn something out of it. I believe it's going to add value to your life. I've been, over the past few months, close to a year or two, I've been investigating and researching about why Africans are poor. And as I go on in my research, I find a lot of fascinating truths about why Africans are poor and why some of the Africans are very rich. And I'm going to talk to you about the power of spending time alone, which I believe is an element that many of us don't do a lot. Most of us are very busy. A few weeks ago, I did a video on that I had titled, "You May Be Addicted to Your Cell Phone." And part of the elements that I discussed there, I'm going to bring them back here, but in a different way too, for you to understand why is it important for you to spend time alone. But let me first introduce this concept by taking it biblically. Jesus himself spent time alone quite a number of times. He spent time alone to pray, spent time alone to reflect on what God has been saying. And when he spoke to people, he said, "What I speak to you, my Father taught me." So he had the private time to learn. Moses himself spent time, when he met with God in the mountain, he was spending time alone. And God allowed him and spoke to him and gave him a vision to lead Israel. So he gave him a very big vision that transformed the life of at least 2 million people back then. Jacob himself spent time alone, and when he spoke to God, when he saw visions, when he was changed from being Jacob to Israel, which transformed the whole life of Israel, he was spending time alone. Mary, the woman who conceived Jesus out of the Holy Spirit, was spending time alone when the Holy Spirit spoke to her. So spending time alone allows you not to be very much distracted, and it sort of trains your mind, it trains your brain in a particular way. And I'm going to try to make reference to psychology and medical practices or medical science for you to make sense to why it's important for you to spend time alone. Let me start by giving you a quote that I just found when I was reading about this, from one of the great athletes who has won multiple, I think it's a double gold medal, Olympic medal. She was once asked about her constant winning performance, and she said, "I have been visualizing myself every night for the past years, standing on the podium, having gold placed around my neck." What does that mean? It means that this person spent time looking at how life is going to be and how it will feel like winning a gold medal, such that the brain sort of made it a reality. And as the brain makes it a reality, it then simulates it in your body. It allows your muscles to be trained to that particular level. So when you don't spend much time alone, you deny your brain to simulate good realities. And it's the same as meditating, and I'll explain that as I go further. So solitude is like your brain cannot differentiate between real and unreal situations. So your brain takes what you dream, for example, as very much real. And I'll try and explain that so you understand what it means in terms of solitude. Let's say, for example, when you are sleeping and you have a terrible nightmare, or you have a very bad dream. You dream being running and you're being chased by thugs, or you are in a scary moment. What happens is that your brain tells your body that this is real. Therefore, you find yourself running in your dreams, but literally you are sweating. Literally, you are even shaking. If there's somebody sleeping next to you, they can even try to touch you and say, "Hey, why are you shaking? Why are you vibrating?" And all sorts of things. The reason why is because your brain simulates that thing, or conceives or perceives that thing, that dream, as very much real. So when you spend time alone, you train your brain to create new realities. So what we have not been taught when we were growing up as young children, especially in the black community, we were not taught to spend time alone. I'll give you an example. You slept with your siblings, sometimes even sharing a blanket. That would mean that the time that you'd have to create it strategically and creatively in your mind to be able to speak on your own. So that, to speak your mind. That was not very easy. When you wake up in the morning, you are surrounded by a lot of kids. Sometimes would even bath in the same dish with other people so that we bath faster and save water and all sorts of things. So we were not trained to be alone. Arnold Schwarzenegger, before he won Mr. Universe, after he won Mr. Universe, they asked him, how did you get to be where you are? How did you win this thing? And he said, I quote, I had won the title so many times in my mind, close quote. What does that mean? It means he spent time visualizing himself being a winner, or visualizing himself being Mr. Universe. So what happens when you spend more time alone? Two things usually happen. You wake up to the reality of your mind. But if you don't spend time alone, you don't see the realities that your mind can actually create. So you miss out on creating opportunities within your mind which can actually be better. In your dreams, for example, when you dream, you'd either wake up tired or feeling that fatigue or that tension that you've had overrunning, or if you had a good dream, you'd wake up feeling very excited about the fact that you're having a good dream. It's almost as real, so it creates this euphoria, but you can actually translate that euphoria into reality. So your brain captures whatever you think in your private space and tries to teach your mind or to train your mind to actually do it. It's like developing muscle memory. The more time you spend alone thinking or meditating or praying, it's like you create a memory in your muscle, the same way that an athlete would actually do when they train. So athletes would go into a particular field and simulate realities. So they would train in a particular way, simulating what is going to happen in the competitive world. And then when they go into the competitive world, because they have already simulated that particular situation, it becomes almost as if it's deja vu. So your mind is able to build that. I remember I was driving, I think I was in Northwest, going to Moretele, and I was with my wife, and I said, I think I've been here. And it was a road that I don't know, but my mind sort of thought I was there, because I've been thinking about going to that place, and I could only remember the last place that I've been. So it felt like I was there. Your mind is able to do that. The question is, how many times or how often do we do that? We were not really trained to do it. You look at, for example, our fathers and our mothers back in the day. They stayed in hostels. That would mean that you stay in a room full of people making noise. You can't talk, you can't think, you can't read. When you're trying to read, you can only read a newspaper as the people are babbling around them. When you wake up in the morning, you go into a train, get into the train, stand there squeezed up with a lot of people, or in a bus, and at the same time still you can't think alone. When you get back, it's like there was something strategically that was created for black men not to be alone. Remember, there is solitude and solitary confinement. So confinement, it's when you are troubly or forcefully put in a place where you're alone, where you can't think. But when you decide to be alone, is where you think to say, or plan to say, I'm going to spend time alone so that I can achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our fathers would come back from the train station, and immediately when they get out of the train station, there would be a shebeen. And I wondered, why did they build shebeens next to train stations or bus stops? Why did we have horse racing betting stations next to train stations or bus stop? It is so that your mind continue to be busy while you're not necessarily busy. So most of us are busy doing nothing. Most of us are busy spending so much time doing something, while in actual fact we're actually doing nothing at all. And why are we not doing it? Why are you not doing it? Maybe you can tell me. Why don't you spend time alone? If you do, tell me, how does it feel? How much do strength or power do you gain in spending time alone? Solitary confinement gives you the power to tap into the world that is unbeknown to anybody else but yourself. That is why I think that is what has happened to our counterparts that we always complain about, and I do complain about them as well for one reason or another. We teach our children to read books. And then it also happens that we read books for them at night. Why is it that smart people read books for their children at night? They also teach them to read fiction. I was told that successful people teach their children to read fiction, so that when they read fiction, it teaches them to imagine things. It teaches them to harness the power of imagination. As they harness the power of imagination, it pushes them to spend time alone imagining the same things that they read in the book. So when you read a book,
you move into a particular environment in your mind, and then it creates a desire in your heart to be in that particular space. And when we read even for our children before they go to bed, we help them or prevent them from having nightmares, because we would read them fascinating stories, would read them those beautiful things about princesses and so on, princesses being rescued. So if it's a girl, she would think of herself being in that particular place and in a tower and being rescued and so on, eating nice with friends and partying with friends, so that when the child wakes up in the morning, the child wakes up happy, with happy thoughts, because of what has transpired in her dreams during the night. Solitude is what makes people, or what makes successful people distinguish from other people, from their counterparts. So it's a pity that Africans were never taught, and I wish to really get my African brothers and sisters to say, spend time alone, stop wasting your time on Facebook and WhatsApp and chatting with people when you're not alone. When you even in the gym, you can actually be in the midst of a crowd, put up your earphones and listen to a teaching. We don't want to do that. We feel like we're disturbing people. You know, when I go to a bank and I'm in a queue, I usually hold a book and I'll be reading in a book, or I'll have earphones listening to a teachings, because I want to be in a different environment in my mind, even when there's so many people busy around me. So what happens is, when you try to spend some time alone, you are classified as weird, you are classified as a bad person. It's the same thing as our children were taught that. Our children at home, when we were still young, were taught, if you try to spend time alone, they'll think you are sick or something is wrong with you, while it would actually activate you into a different power. The older work system, for example, also, it also push people to be so busy. In the mines, you work in groups. In the farms, you worked in groups. Even if you were a truck driver, you'd be forced to work as a truck driver while you have somebody else, so that person could keep you having conversations, sometimes conversations that are not even beneficial on your part. So why? I think I have 6 reasons as to why is it important for you to spend time alone. The first one is, it gives you time to plan your day ahead. That's a simple part. You wake up in the morning, sit down, write what you're going to do, what you're going to achieve. You see, successful people spend at least 30 minutes on a daily basis writing down what they're going to do. There's a friend of mine, his name is Tulani Mpahlela. I wish he could join us. He published a diary. The second version was published this year. Another one is going to come next year. It's called Stay on Track Diary. That diary forces you to spend time alone in the morning and in the evening to think of what you're going to do the day ahead. And in the evening, it forces you to spend a few minutes thinking of what you have done in the past. So the first thing is that it gives you time and power to plan your day, such that nobody could come and interfere with your day. And then at the end of the day, you are able to go back and look at what you have done, what you have achieved or failed to achieve, and then plan ahead and say, maybe I need to correct 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the third reason is that it gives you power or time to detox your mind. You see, our minds are clogged up with activities. When you are in the road, when you are in your car, you are listening to radio, junk, rubbish, and good things, of course, that comes out of there. But most of us prefer tabloid and gossip discussions, so that we keep on activating or engaging our mind in things that don't benefit us. But then spend some time to detox, remove all the negative energy and add on positive energy. Number 4, it trains your mind to think in a certain way. I was told that successful CEOs or big CEOs or CEOs that run great companies, they spend at least 30 minutes to 1 hour alone every morning when they get in the office. So instead of spending time with other people, they spend time alone. Why do they spend time alone? So that they gain energy, so that they master their day, they take control of their day, and then it helps them to think in a particular way that ordinary people do not think in that particular way. Number 4, it gives you time to refresh and to gain energy. So you refresh, you rest, and you gain more energy. Energetic people know when to refrain from being with the crowd. T.D. Jakes says, it's funny that the world is so busy today that we go to work. After working, we take leave to go on vacation. When we are on vacation, we do activities that makes us get tired. We don't go on vacation to rest. We don't take leave to rest. We take leave so that we can go and be busy again, doing things that are not beneficial. You come back from leave, you are tired, and which is funny. And then it helps you to take time to reflect and ask yourself if what you're doing makes sense. So the question is, if you look at what you have been doing over the past few days, Does it make sense to you? If you look at the amount of time that is spent on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on social media, on the internet, reading garbage, yes. Does it really make sense? I was listening to a young woman yesterday on SAFM, and she said she was facilitating a workshop on financial freedom at Vart University, I think. And she said she asked people about where to get information to make concoctions like alcoholic concoctions and stuff. And people were just raising their hands and giving up names and things like that. And she asked about recipes and things like that. People have those information. And then she asked, what is the interest? What is the prime lending rate in South Africa? Nobody could actually raise. Yet they have information lying around in their smartphones, in their gadgets. Spend time reading. Spend time reflecting. Spend time thinking. And the last reason of spending time, and this is very powerful, is that you get time to talk to God. You get time to connect to a higher power. You get time to pray, to read the Word, to read the Bible, and even study books that add value. Now let me ask you, over the past 7 days, how many minutes did you spend alone doing nothing? It was my birthday yesterday and I had fun. I went to church in the morning. In the afternoon, I spent about 90 minutes alone. And I was not reading a book. I was not watching TV. I was not on Facebook. I was just thinking, right on my own, thinking. And you know what came out of that thinking, 90 minutes thinking? I developed a series that I'm going to be releasing over the next few days. And I'm going to be talking about, this is the first of the installment. And more are yet to come. I think I'm going to do about 6 series on why Africans are poor. And look, you are not poor because you don't have resources. You have resources, but you're sitting on them. The Bible says, a sluggard buries his hand in a bowl of soup, but it's very heavy and difficult for him to bring it back to his mouth and eat. It also says that much food is found in the land of the lazy man. You know what does that mean? It means that there is so much resources around you, but because you don't have time to think, you don't recognize it. And then it also says, a lazy man will be put to forced labor. What does that mean? It means those that think a lot will develop systems and strategies that will make those that do not want to think to work hard for them. My pastor says, smart people, lazy people work hard, they labor hard for those who think a lot, those who think smart, those who think creatively, and they're even paid less. So you spend your time laboring and making those that think a lot to benefit out of you. So let me define what I was talking about. Solitude. Solitude is spending time alone. But what am I saying to you? I'm saying decide actively and proactively to make time for yourself. Not with your wife, not with your boyfriend, not with your friends. You alone. Switch off the cell phone. Switch off the TV. Get in a room where you are alone. If you don't have a room alone and you have a car, sit in your car for 30 minutes a day. I have this journal. And this is my powerful journal. And I write on it almost every day. I wake up, I spend time, and I write. You see, I write on this book so that I have time. And I go back and reflect on it. Like, what was I talking about? What did I read about? What am I thinking about? Try to think about what you are thinking about. And after thinking about what you're thinking about, ask yourself if it makes sense. Thank you very much. I hope you've learned something. If you've enjoyed this video, please share it with your friend. Drop in a comment, drop in a question about this topic or anything about African wealth, about why Africans are poor, why Africans are rich. I'll be happy to engage with you. I'll be happy to respond to your questions, and I'll be happy to engage with you as you go along. But please share. I'll be happy to have Africa change the way we are, become powerful, become rich like our grounds, become rich like our natural environments. We are capable. We just don't know, or some at least know, but others do not. Let's take ourselves and those around us to the next level. See you again next time. Thank you very much. God bless you. I love you. Bye.